So welcome back to another video today. I wanted to share my opinions and thoughts on Final Stand. Now, it might seem a bit premature or a bit too early to be discussing the final expansion pack because we haven't even got Dragon's Teeth out of the way, which I believe is meant to be set around urban combat, US fighting China again, who would have thought it, but Final Stand is particularly interesting because there's been a lot of intent and rumours towards nuclear warfare. With that term usually follows WMDs, weapons of mass destruction, nuclear bombs, atomic bombs, huge explosions, that kind of stuff. So it is actually pretty interesting. But the question is, how would, say, a nuke work in multiplayer? Well, it'd be pretty devastating. Everybody in a 100-mile radius would be completely vaporized. But how could you counter a nuke instead of just sitting there with your riot shield holding to the blast, because you're not going to live to tell the tale? I thought of an idea that might just work. So what happens is there's a laptop on a table, for example, and you press the button to set the timer going, 3 minutes, and every door to a bomb shelter, there's about 4 scattered around the map, and all the doors open once the timer starts going. Then of course you have to try and get to a bomb shelter in that 3-minute timer. But say an enemy has already got to a certain bomb shelter you want to go into, well, you'd have to fight your way in, and you know, in that kind of time where you're trying to get the enemy out, the door could shut and the timer could end, and your end would not be pretty. But you get into a bomb shelter, and once the timer gets to 0, the doors close, and of course the bomb then goes off. So you could obviously feel and hear the rumble of the explosion as it just rips past and destroys the map. So from a map you've been playing, which is probably pretty nice, to a map that is completely and utterly devastated. The ground is torn up, the buildings are destroyed, they're crumbling, everything is changed. I think that'd be really rather awesome, and instead of just adding Aftermath back to Battlefield 4, this would kind of implement it in a secret kind of way. Nonetheless, what kind of weapons or game modes could you see in such an expansion pack? Well, I'd love to see, say, Scavenger return back to Battlefield 4. Doesn't have to be in Final Stand, but I'd love to see it return sometime in the near future, because it was one of my most played, maybe not most played, but most enjoyed game modes in Battlefield 3, and I think that's really down to the fact that everybody wasn't using the most overpowered weapons, AEK, M16A3, etc, etc. You had to kind of pick up a weapon and go as you would, so you couldn't just know exactly what engagements you had to be into. You know, you could pick up an assault rifle, long range, high power kind of combat, or you could pick up an SMG or a shotgun, which is close quarter combat. So the choice is really yours, and it's quite random, which makes for some very, very interesting gameplay. But in the way of weapons, you could have, say, the return of the crossbow or the X-bow, which would be absolutely incredible. Absolutely loved it in Battlefield 3. 1 shot to the head, 1 or 2 shots to the body, depending on the range. So it was actually very, very effective if you got your aim right. But it did take a long time to reload, so it wasn't just an absolute killing machine. You could also see the return of, say, the M5K, which would be absolutely incredible. Such weapons would work in the aftermath part of the map after the bomb's gone off, because everything would be kind of trench warfare. The ground is torn up and it's close quarter combat where you need a fast firing close quarter combat weapon. I definitely think this whole nuclear warfare has some potential, even though it may not kind of follow suit of which I've just described. It may be something even more awesome, maybe less awesome, but either way I'm very, very excited to see what comes out of it. Nonetheless, I'd love to hear your opinions and thoughts in the comments section below. What do you think of Final Stand? Do you think it's going to be something based around nuclear warfare, or is it something different? Let me know in the comment section below. But with that said, I do hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time.